Hey guys, on this video we're going to give you a quick update on the current state of the housing market, so let's jump right into it. First things first, let's talk lumber prices. As many of us know, lumber hit nearly its peak earlier this year when it had increased nearly 400% compared to this time a year ago. But thankfully, we're starting to see some hope on the horizon, people. Recently, we experienced a 42% decrease in the overall cost of lumber. Now, although this number is still 2 times as what was expected for this time of year, this does give us some optimism for the housing market in the effect that it will hopefully start to cool down a little bit. However, according to the experts, they do expect lumber prices to remain relatively high for the foreseeable future. Number 2, let's talk demand. Right now, to give you an idea, the US needs to build about 3.8 million homes just to keep up with current demand in the housing market. And according to a study done by Redfin, the average home in the United States sits on the market for about 17 days, which is a record low. However, we are starting to see some hope in the horizon in this area as well. From the month of April 2021 to May of 2021, Zillow found a 4% increase in the available inventory on the market, which is actually the first monthly uptick that we've seen since July of 2020. As many of you know, we are also experiencing record high home prices. According to a study conducted by Redfin, they found that home prices have increased nearly 24% year over year. And although the experts do not expect home prices to decrease anytime soon, we are starting to see a decrease in the growth rate of home prices, meaning that although we're still seeing an increase in the price of homes, they're not increasing as rapidly as they were in the first quarter of this year. And lastly, let's talk credit standards. Right now, we are currently starting to see credit standards begin to loosen. How do we measure this? So basically, there's something called the Mortgage Availability Credit Index conducted by the Mortgage Bankers Association. This basically measures how loose or tight credit standards currently are. To give you an idea, before the pandemic, this index was at 180, and basically the higher the number, the looser the credit standards. However, when the pandemic hit in 2020, that number plunged to 120, meaning that lenders were a lot more picky about the loans they were giving out, and they were looking at their mortgagees through a microscope. Telescope, microscope, whichever makes more sense. However, right now that number is around the 128 mark, which gives us some hope for the future because lenders aren't as strict about the loans they were giving out as they were during the pandemic. Many of the experts believe that we will continue to see a loosening of credit standards as we progress into 2022. But what about the fear of another recession? Many people say, okay, Lauren, loosening credit standards, does that mean that we're going to have a crash similar to what we experienced in 2007 and 2008? And right now, although that is a valid concern, that's just not what the data is showing. For the 15th consecutive week, homes in forbearance have actually decreased, which means that less homeowners are at risk for losing their home or going into foreclosure. This is good news because we do not want people going into foreclosure, obviously because it's a horrible experience for the buyer and because of the ripple effects that it has on the overall US economy. And we're actually seeing that 80% of these homeowners who are leaving forbearance are in good financial standing. So right now the data is still showing that the home buyers who are taking out these mortgages can afford to make their payments, but it is a good idea to keep an eye on the market for the upcoming weeks and months as we see this forbearance program continue to dwindle. Okay, so what caused all of this stuff? Number 1, during the pandemic, a lot of mills and factories who produce vital construction materials like lumber and sheetrock had to shut down because of the pandemic. They don't want anybody getting sick, and they were also had heavy restrictions put on them that made it very difficult for them to operate normally. And of course, when these restrictions were lifted, many of the factories and mills were severely backlogged on these vital construction materials. Number 2, obviously, are the record low interest rates. When the pandemic hit, the federal funds rate hit nearly 0, which made housing more affordable than renting in many areas across the country. Number 3 is more buyer flexibility to work from home, or something called geographical arbitrage. Basically what this means is many people who lived in very high cost of living states, high tax states like New Jersey and California, were saying, all right, so now I can work from home, which means that I can keep the income that I'm currently making in my current state of California, but I can live somewhere else and have a much lower cost of living. Let's check out Tennessee, let's check out Texas, let's check out Florida. So many of these people in these high tax states begin to migrate to low tax states, and we actually saw a ratio of this migration of about 4-to-1. And in Texas, that ratio was 5-to-1, meaning for every one person that was leaving Texas, 5 people were moving in. This obviously had a big effect on the housing market, the prices of homes, and the available inventory on the market in these low tax states. All right, girl, I get it. All of this stuff happened in the housing market because of the pandemic, but what does the future look like? Well, let's look at what the experts are saying. According to a forecast done by the Mortgage Bankers Association, they expect interest rates to increase to 3.7% by the start of 2022. And according to Freddie Mac, they expect interest rates to be at about 3.8%. And looking even further out, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, they expect the average interest rate to be around 4.2% by the end of 2022, which is notably higher than the interest rates we are currently experiencing right now in summer of 2021, which is around that 3.1%. And according to a statement released by the research team at Freddie Mac, they expect the housing market to remain favorable for the foreseeable future and that it will remain in good standing. Lastly, according to a forecast conducted by the research team at Zillow, they expect home prices to increase nearly 15% from May of this year to May of 2022. So what's the bottom line? Basically, lumber prices decreasing, interest rates slightly starting to increase, and inventory starting to increase gives us hope that the housing market will finally start to cool down a bit. However, secondly, the experts still project that the market will remain robust for the foreseeable future. Third, they predict that prices will continue to increase. And 4, according to the data, we are unlikely to see a new flood of foreclosures that will cause the market to crash similar to what we experienced in 2007 and 2008. So lastly, what do we recommend? Number 1, we recommend that you breathe. Don't feel pressure to buy a home right now just because you're seeing your friends do it or you feel like you have to. Even though the housing market is experiencing a bunch of records right now, eventually inventory is going to stabilize. And even if mortgage rates do increase to 4.2, 4.5%, these interest rates are still crazy low compared to what we've seen in the past. So instead of buying something you don't really like, continue to stick to the basics. Live below your means, save up for a good down payment, work on that credit score, if you feel me, and remain patient so that you can find something that you like and that you intend to hold on to for the next 5 to 10 years. And last but not least, whether you're looking to buy or sell, make sure that you're looking for a good real estate agent. Right now, because the market is so competitive, it's extremely important to have an expert in your corner who knows what they're doing. A good agent is going to be knowledgeable about your particular market, and they may have some favorable contacts in the market that can seriously benefit you during your home buying journey. I am a licensed real estate agent, so if you live in El Paso and you're looking for a good agent, send us a message on our Instagram and I can send you 2 or 3 agents that I would personally recommend. But whoever you do go with, make sure that you interview them. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. Share with them the things that are keeping you up at night, and ultimately go with an agent that you feel most comfortable with and that you are most compatible with. Thank you for watching, guys. The sources for the data that we mentioned in this video will be in the description below. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.